So good evening, everybody, and welcome to the second of our Women's Only Wednesday on the Donny Chaingang. I'm Matt Payne. I'm going to be bringing you all of the action all the way through the season, and we've got 14 in total of the Women's Only Wednesday on the Donny Chaingang set up to provide a platform for our women to compete against each other, against avatars that kind of operate the same because they're all female in the Zwift world, and the algorithm deals with them differently because of different body shapes, weight, height, etc. So what we're going to do is we are going to head over to the boss, the person who is in charge of making sure all of our riders are doing what they're told, and just as importantly, making sure that we go up the right route, the right direction. It is our ride leader. Now, we are going to try a little bit of magic tonight because we're testing. We're using the boss as a guinea pig, which I'm sure the boss isn't overly pleased with. Of our new sound communication system with our leaders. Let's see what they're up to. So, Emma, how are you doing?
Evening, Matthew. I hope you can hear me.
I can certainly hear you, and certainly loud and clear, which is great. So, welcome back. We're on the second of the Donny Chaingang Rise at the Women's Only Wednesdays, and it's a little bit different to the first one, isn't it?
We've got a bit of an after party going on tonight. So we've got a nice flat start with sort of 2 tours of London flat. And then we go out and along the river and down the escalator. And we keep hill to the finish.
Well, it's going to be really interesting, isn't it? We've got a slightly smaller field than normal, but we do have to remember a lot of our riders are actually riding the Women's Tour of Britain this week, and that makes a big difference, doesn't it? And, of course, people out there watching as well.
There are, and there's a lot going on this week, as you indicate, Matt, with the Women's Tour of Britain taking place. And I know a number of riders who joined us last time are out on the side of the road watching their a real life bike race today. So it's still good. We've still got good numbers, and I think we're still going to have a good time.
Yeah, definitely a good split of numbers. So we're going to let you get back with 56 seconds to go, and we're going to whiz through where we're going on the route. So thanks very much, Emma, and we'll catch up with you in a little bit.
Thanks, Matt.
Well, great to catch up with Emma. Let's show you where we're heading this evening. We're going into London for the Keith Hill after party. We set off by the Tower of London, go along the embankment and into London, up past the Serpentine and Hyde Park before dropping back down the river. Back along past Westminster Abbey, in past Buckingham Palace, along the Mall, then round the loop of the London Classic, and then we go out the opposite direction. So we follow this traditional Greater London flat route round the river, back up to Hyde Park, drop down through Trafalgar Square and along to the riverside, back along the roller coasters to finish up the big climb at the end. This is the Keith Hill KOM, the King or Queen of the Mountain, and it is a tough route because although it starts off fairly flat, it then gets busier, higher, steeper and taller, and that means that as our riders head out onto the course, they know they're heading out initially on what is a fairly flat section of course, but it does get bumpy pretty quickly, and it's all going to be about holding it together. Our leading is 0.5k, and that is to run from the pens to the orange start line, and then our riders will be onto the course proper, which is 36.2k. We finish at the top of the mountain at 36.7k. That is 435 metres of ascent. And then the traditional warm down to the blue banner. And that is just to make sure that everybody's legs are moving nice and smoothly. Now, we do have to remember that we have 2 beacons tonight, not just our yellow beacon, who's in charge of making sure that the event is going the right direction and leading the entire group, but the role that we always love to see being done by so many different volunteers. Chloe Gagan is our red beacon, and our red beacon will be sweeping, making sure that the pack stays together as long as possible, bringing up anybody who is having tech issues, maybe a little bit further back down the straight. At the moment, it looks like Heather Barber and Ali Lyons a few seconds behind the front of the group, so I think you're going to see 1 or 2 people just dropping back. Let's take a little bit of a look at the profile that our riders have to face, and this gives you a good indication. Fellow viewer, of course, one of our key supporters, providing us with the graphics that show you just what it's like. So we come basically from the left-hand side, the far left-hand side, towards the big flat loop along the bottom. We come in, up along the ribbons, through the High Park corner. It's a slight dip. Across to the right-hand side and down. We do a U-turn, come back around that same loop, and then we head out, back on the roller coasters, down underneath the Thames, and then on to the big climb. As you can see by the colours of the graphics, it is going to make things very interesting indeed as the riders go on to there. As with all of the Donny Chaingangs, well, we have a signal that our ride leaders will give, and that is the go, 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 and that is when all restraints are off. It's all about who can get over that finishing line first. How fast can you get there? Do you need a group to do it? Are you able to do so with a number of riders working together? Is it going to be a breakaway? Will it come down to a sprint? Now we're going to see some mountain goat disappear off up to the top. Up to that point, it's all about riding together in the group and keeping the pace nice and smooth for everybody, and making sure you follow the instructions of the ride leaders. And that is, of course, Emma, who's... instructions will come up across the screen. Now, our rider's just underway. They've gone along on to the riverside at the moment, and currently being led out there by Emma and all of the gang just about together. Two riders just a little bit detached at the moment, and currently sitting about 3 seconds off the back of the pack. Are looks like... So the team are working to bring them back. It is going to be Chloe Gagan, our red beacon. Let's just jump in with them. You can see them up on your screen over there. Let's drop in some of the stats that our riders are able to see when they are out on course. And to do that, here we go. So you can see at the moment, top of your screen, we have the watts. This is how much power that Chloe's producing. The revs, 85 revs at the moment, 157 beats per minute. Having to work fairly hard here just to make sure that they get back in touch. It's really hard if you're not in the group to stay and keep the same pace, and it does often rely on the instructions of the ride leader to tell the pack to slow down, because at the moment that gap is growing rather than being reduced, and that gap is opening up. Although you can see on the screens it's still sitting inside 10 seconds. It is not coming back at the moment, so hopefully we're going to see them starting to bring their way back in again, but the gang at the front just doing as they're told. Now, one of the things that the group can do is drop people back. They can look on the map at the top of their screen, top right hand side. I'm going to do exactly the same. There we go, top right hand side. You can see the view all terrain, so you can take a look on there. You can see where the red beacon and where the yellow beacon is. You'll get to know where riders are, and you can just start to see that gap just starting to come back. Now, if people drop back and toe on, that's the way that the strong riders can get a really good workout, and that's what we do suggest people go back and come back in again. In fact, that's exactly what our yellow beacon Emma has just suggested. So it's a great way for our stronger riders to get a bit of a workout by dropping back. Looks like Millie Skinner's going to do that. So let's take a quick look at Millie, who is just dropping back here. So you can just see on the right hand side of the screen Millie's numbers down at 1.9. He's just waiting, getting into the group now. There's now 3 riders in this pack, so suddenly they get a little bit more of a tow. You can see riders behind starting to drop back on your screen. You can just see them coming back towards the group, and then that allows them to pull forward. If that happens, it provides, if you like, set stepping stones to get across. So let's have a look in detail. Let's join in with our riders out on the Donny Chaingang, the women's only Wednesday. Donny Chaingang here on the Downey Cycling YouTube channel with me, Matt Payne. So our riders underway, looking good. A nice bit of work done there just to bring everybody back together again, which is what we want to see. And now 2 watts per kilo blob, please. So the instructions coming in. Let's have a little focus on some of our riders. Let's jump with somebody super fast. No pressure on Chloe at the moment, but looks on Charlotte. Sorry, but it is Charlotte Colclough, one of our very fast riders we know can take the win in an event like this, but she will have her work cut out. We've got Poppy Thompson from Finish Line Racing, which is the Pro Noctis Hadikiatson squad in here. Poppy, one of our very fast riders, and a rider, remember, of course, on the squad that has taken the top spot in the team competition on the road in real life. We've got Emma Gilbert with us. Emma, another of our regulars on the women's only Wednesdays. Good to see her back in with us. Looks like Kaz Tarry in here. So Kaz, Another of our regular riders just in there in the teal blue there, the petrol blue, which is good to see she's back with us. Just gonna have a little look. Looks like Tracy in here. So Tracy, another of the riders, get a regular link emailed to them, and great to see Tracy's back in here, second time. So good to see Tracy making this look pretty easy at the moment, keeping it nice and smooth, and it's great to see them back in. Now, if you're just watching and wondering, maybe now's the time, should I have a go, should I not? Key thing, if you jump in at the start here of the Chaingangs, at the start of the season, you can soon get into the swing of it. You're not finding your feet when everybody else is up and racing. That's true of any race season, in fact. If you can get in there at the start, it is generally easy. You don't have to, you can jump in any time. So 2.5 foot watts per kilo max upon the climb. This is just the steep climb up into Trafalgar Square. You can just, in fact, see it in front of us. If we drop the details out, you can just see Nelson has been replaced by the Zwift Squirrel on top of the column there, and Horatio Squirrel up on the top of the column as our riders on this slope. It is a little bit of a climb, and if we drop the numbers that you see top right hand side of your screen, it's 4% at the moment. Let's have a jump around some more of our riders. So in with Alex Morris at the moment, so just going to take a little bit of a look now. A regular rider, got the Zwift Tron bike. If you've not seen one of these before, Zwift Tron bike, well, this is the bike that you get if you have ascended 50,000, yeah, 50,000 meters of climbing. It's not just 80,000 up to the top of 8,000 to the top of Everest. It's actually 50,000 meters of ascent. It is serious stuff. Now let's have a look at some more fast riders. Millie Skinner, another fast rider. You can see here in that Donny Cycling Coach riders top, the Donny Cycling Coach riders having access to this fantastic grey kit here with the green stripe down the side, and Millie, again, another fast finisher, a regular on things like the Tour Series, on the National Road Series. You just see that gap just opening behind this pack at the moment. There's a group tick on. Remember, the signal's not gone yet, so this group behind need to work together. 5 seconds opened up again. So the riders on the front, there's a good trick if you're watching live, if you're going to be joining in later. The really good trick, look and use your keys. The number keys across the top will change your perspective. So you can move your keys about and change what you're doing. Currently, we're on our fantastic drone, so if you press 0 on your keyboard and you're actually riding, you can use the drone and actually fly above it. You can do this whilst you're riding. You're doing really, really well. Really good ones to have. 6, look back behind you. So remember, we're focused on Gilbert here, who is in the great looking back. So 6 is a view behind. Let's do it from the front. Number 1, standard view forwards. Number 2, even closer view looking forwards. Number 3, this is actually looking through the Oakleys of the rider. Number 4 is a side view. 5 gets you down on the ground like the motorbike with the camera scraping along the floor. Number 6 is our rear view mirror. Great to see what's happening behind you and if the riders are staying together. Number 7, well, this is the panoramic camera shot. This is if you've got your very own director tracking you into the bunch, following you through and heading along. If we've got some nice big shots with a wider shot, you'll get that. Number 8, well, you can hear it in the background. It is our helicopter shot, and this is where we get to see an aerial view of our ride. It's very handy just to see how people are going. Looks like Barber just having to push hard over the top there, just dropped a touch there. So I think we're going to be seeing our beacon coming back. Chloe Gagan having to work very hard last night because the AEO, the Onion race team, were riding in the race league last night and put in some great performances, managed to catch a bit of the racing. So Gagan started to drop back. Not sure whether she'll get any help. We'll see if any of these riders are going to go give her a little bit of a hand. I think everybody at the moment just worried about staying in the bunch, and it means that Gagan is going to have a hard time on her own. unless you get some of these faster riders to come back. Now, Chloe had some very fast legs last night because she actually took the fastest sprint time in the race. She took the fastest time and first over the line. That's maximum points. Now, just behind Chloe, it is going to be Heather. Heather currently kicking at 2.4 watts per kilo, so she's trying to push back, but you can see the pace of the bunch really does stretch the group out, and Barbara at the moment at 2.8 watts per kilo is being distanced by the group, so I think our yellow beacon is going to be given some instructions to either send a few back. Just looking at these numbers up round the front, and there's still plenty of 2.7s, 2.8, so it is definitely it's everybody just rolling through the front is pulling the pace up at the moment, and the gap currently, well, we're looking 5 seconds up for the gang and 4 seconds back for Barbara, so it looks like Heather just going to get some company with Chloe, so this is where Barbara needs to jump on now. The number differential, if the group holds at 2.5, it means they're going to need to be doing 2.9 to 3 to get on. If the group does 2 watts per kilo, then they'll be able to get on at about 2.5 to 2.6. But as you can see, one rider versus a number is hard going. It is very, very tough. Now, just seeing Millie Skinner, I think, going to be heading back again. Millie, one of our great workhorses on the Chaingang, rider who we know has got the power to go back and forth. If we take a look over Millie's shoulder, you can see that gap behind. The gap's just opening up. Is anybody else feeling strong enough to go back? Well, let's see. I'm not sure whether we're going to see too many rolling back to help here. It's going to make life a little bit tough for Gagan after racing yesterday, but this is the role of the red beacon. You jump on the front, you pull the riders back, you go back, you pull them on the front. Really rewarding because you are helping somebody get a better ride than they would have had otherwise, and that is fantastic to see. Remember, all of our red beacons on the Donny Chaingang Open events on the Tuesday and Thursday, as well as on the women's only Wednesdays Donny Chaingang, the WOWDCG, are all volunteers, all jumping in and making sure that everybody gets the best ride. We're there to look after everybody, and we've always said on the Chaingang it's as important that we look after the riders at the back and the front. In fact, to be honest, as a rider who was generally nearer the back than the front when it came to racing, then I'd have appreciated it if people were coming back to help out. Now, so here we go. This is the catch being made. So Millie Skinner now sees them comes past at 2.7. You see Millie's watts per kilo quickly kicking up here. I don't believe the rider's swinging on the bottle there. It's definitely not the case, as Millie does 5 watts per kilo. So jumping in. Watts per kilo is the standard unit of measurement on Swift because it's a good indicator of how fast people are going as we go past the nifty Bidon Boozer, just dropping in down through the chicanes here. So this is now a chasing group of 3. Gagan and Skinner now, the 2 riders on the front, and this is where our riders learn the skills of riding in groups. Whether you're a fast rider or a slow rider, there's always something to be gained by riding in the group and having a different role. Maybe normally you're a sprinter at the front and your job is just to finish it off, and maybe you're having to work for a change. Maybe you are a domestic and getting the chance to sit in. Maybe you are a rider who's just starting out, you're getting the chance to draft and sit in with the group, and this is all about working together as a team and getting it back together again. Now, one of the things that is fairly quiet tonight, the chat is very quiet. The tunes must be rolling somewhere. Emma is suggesting, and I think they probably are here, because you can see that gap just starting to come down here now. Look at the number differential here. Millie Skinner sitting on the front, having to break through that air. Millie is currently kicking out between 3.5 and 4 watts per kilo. In fact, just in a 4.9. Behind, Gagan in second wheel, sitting at consistently about 3.5, and then Barbara sitting at 2.5. And this is all about making sure that gap doesn't extend. So Skinner has to watch. A lot of our riders will use this number 6 key to be able to look back, but this is fantastic to see that the team here are looking really, really smooth here. So looks like they need to just take a little bit of a check back. Looks like Bob just losing touch with that extra little bit of pace on there. So Gagan and Skinner at the moment Going to be there as a target, but you can just see the main pack just easing off there. I think Heather's STP is probably going to be something around about 2.324, which means that when they push over the 2.4 for Heather, that's when the gaps open up, and this is where you can see the experience. They're just now checking and running back, making sure they can pick up the riders and get them a smooth run back. Good to see some proper tunes going on here. So just keeping a check, just in with Hughes at the moment. So Claire Hughes currently with the Stone Roses, proper tune in there, and as you can see, Hughes on a relatively light bike but on aero wheels here, so Claire rolling along nice and smoothly in that map kit at the moment. Not my favourite kit, has to be said, in terms of colour schemes, but still a popular one. Now let's take another look up here. So Heather just, we've got two Heathers actually in the Chaingang here. You just see that red beacon having to work behind this gang, really just working hard here. So looks like Barber, Gagan and Skinner currently sitting at about 12 seconds back at the moment. Lee just holding the back of the bunch, and Emma, the boss, just keeping a track on them. So looks like we're in at about 10k in. Now this is where we're going to see 2.5 watts per kilo max for a short while. Hopefully this is going to give chance for our riders behind to come back and get back in touch. We need, because I know Millie Skinner had dropped back. I'm not sure whether Millie's planning on staying there all the way through. So this gang are working well at the moment. Let's just jump in. Let's see if we can get in touch with our beacon, who's out on the course at the moment. Our yellow beacon, Emma, hopefully rolling nice and smoothly. Emma, how are you going?
Oh, good at the moment, I think, Matt. It's a little bit of a more undulating course than last week, so create a few more challenges.
Yeah, it's definitely starting to shed riders, and I see Millie Skinner had gone back there, having now to push on to try and get back across that gap after she had gone back to go help out, currently having to put out about 4 watts per kilo, but it's a great way to actually get a great workout, isn't it?
I was going to say, knowing Millie, she's more than for quite some period of time, but she wants to get early, but it's going to give her a good workout.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll see how she gets on. Looking good at the moment, and the pack all holding together well. Remembering, of course, we've got to go do our turnaround yet, haven't we, and go the opposite way on these roads.
We do. So we run round this way, then we turn around and we come back before we head down the river. So 10k in now. We've had a nice warm up. I think once Millie is near enough made the catch, once she's back on, we'll settle in and maybe have a pace little.
Well,
we might let her catch her breath first.
Well, that would be kind. It's probably going to be needed after that chase back, that's for sure. So we're going to leave Emma just at the back there, and just going to take a little bit of a run back up to the front. So it looks like our team here going to just go have a ride through. So Gagan and Barber are going to have the bus in control. Now, when we talk about the bus, this isn't actually a real live bus. This is our party bus, which is the Red Beacon bus. It has become known as the bus as you would find on a tour. It is what's known as the Gruppetto, and this is often comprised of a real mix of riders who have maybe been racing, riders who are new to the Chaingang, riders who maybe want a slightly easier night. If it's the mob from the Stone, well, actually that's generally about jumping back and making sure that they are in the gang and riding smoothly with a bit of a social going on at the back. So when one of them is doing the Red Beacon, generally you find all of them dropping back to help out. So the riders at the moment just riding, keeping it smooth. They come across past the bridge, currently just sat in with the red beacon at the moment. This is formed behind the main pack. The main pack at the moment containing a yellow beacon, rolling the way in and through the Houses of Parliament. So in and around the turn they go, quickly heading out and away from that bell tower. The bunch all together, just heading off through past Parliament Square. This is our front bunch, and we have the squad at the back as the team work their way along. Now this is the front group, some real good names in here. Good to see some new riders in this group, as well as some returning riders. Now just keeping an eye on these riders as they go through. Looks like tracing nicely in this group. We've got Hawkins in here. This is Sarah Louise Hawkins in with the group. Poppy Thompson just sitting around the front, as is Maz Heffron in here. So Maz in the group in that gold and green jersey, and Maz at the moment on some nice deep rims and aero frame, and clearly able to handle the pace at 2.5 watts per kilo. Let's take another look who else we've got in here. Seeing Tiffany Fletcher in here. Good to have Tiff back in the group as well. So Tiff in the group there, and Tiff of course working for British Cycling in the HSBC GBR kit there, and good to have Tiff running in with us as well. Hughes, we've already had a little look at Hughes' numbers yet. 75 revs per minute, just ticking along 95 revs. Millie Skinner just sitting at the back of the pack. 150 beats per minute, 83 revs per minute, keeping that cadence nice and high as she works her way in and along. And our riders at the moment just on the way around the turns up at Buckingham Palace and going around the, as it's known, the wedding cake. So the group are working together well at the moment, heading up this slope. Nice compact group, all keeping it nice and smooth, all working well together. And you can just see the gang nicely keeping it tight, no gaps opening up, everybody holding the pace quite well. The beacons currently having a relatively easy job and keeping it nice and quiet. So they're going up to 3 watts per kilo now, and let's see if they can hold at the as a maximum number. This is where we start to see people get a little bit distance. Let's take a little bit of a jump in with them, so you can just see the riders up and over the turn. Let's jump in with our yellow beacon as they come down here. So currently Emma riding at 138 beats per minute, 137. The heart rate dropping as you go back down the hillside. You just see the pace dropping down a little bit. The red beacon, well, our red beacon is just on the opposite side of the road there. You can just see the red beacon group not very far behind at all at the moment, which is great to see. Just coming up towards the top of the turn, which is actually over the top of Hyde Park Corner. We're going to be going underneath there fairly shortly. So around the pack come, heading in towards the turn. This is going to take them through towards the mile and on to the go, the finish line of the marathon at the weekend, and it has been home to the finish of the Tour of Britain before, and great to see some great action in the Women's Tour of Britain already now. Chaingang with Bob behind. This is our Red Beacon group working well together, and the two are working well at the back here. They're on the way down and in as this group comes in and through the sprint line. Nobody working too hard. Everybody knows it's all about who's going to get to the top of the climb first. And the pace at the moment looks to be keeping everybody together. The riders around the back, definitely not riders who are going to be struggling with people like Coldclough in here. So the time's reflecting that, 22:35 for Coldclough, just going in and through on that blue and white bike, and relatively aero bike for Coldclough today. So in with Lyons, let's just take a little bit of a jump in with Ali Lyons. Ali back on, I think this is the second. Donny Chaingang, and good to see Ali back in the group here. Ali needs to just make sure she sits in that pack. Don't want to be dropping off the back of the group, keeping those revs nice and high. 70 revs per minute at the moment. You see that heart rate is relatively high at 180, but that is also dependent on you as a person. And we have riders who tick along. If you ever see somebody like Russ, for example, ex-pro, his heart rate is disgustingly low. It's all just sloth-like ticks along, even when he's actually giving it so many watts. Some of our riders actually know exactly how much. Riders who shall remain nameless knows that if he's got, if Russ has got 120 on his heart rate, then he's likely to be doing 130, and so on. So Lyons it is, who is just pushing onto the front here, doing a great job in her second Chaingang, taking a turn up on the front now. Tracy coming through over the top. You can see Tracy just ticking away in. And then Carrington now making a move up over on the shoulder here. Everybody just keeping the pace, just underneath that 3 watts per kilo mark. Nobody being distanced by this out of this group after that initial split of our Red Beacon off the pack. So the group are working well. They're going to do the turn around the corner, and then they're going to head back out on Greater London Flat. They're going to go back out on the more standard route on the Greater London Flat. So heading out, one more flat on that, basically one more loop now. This is the Greater London Flat, so we head out, we go straight across here and head straight down towards Downing Street. We basically go down Whitehall, across Parliament Square, straight out with the Abbey on our right hand side, the House of Parliament on our left. We then head around the loop in the opposite direction, climbing up to the Serpentine. As our Red Beacon heads in towards that turn, our riders heading back in towards Trafalgar Square. So this is the leading bunch at the moment. All very quiet in the bunch. There's not much conversation there. Everyone seems to be taking this quite seriously today, which is quite interesting. This front group, I think, is going to find itself splitting fairly quickly. Excellent. Chloe Chaingang, all good at the back. The Aeonian rider here, ticking along. Barbara just jumping on those wheels. These two riding well together here. This is good to see the two of them keeping the pace nice and smooth as they go through. Jump back in with the gang. Oh, Definitely a leading question. Who wants a short or a long effort tonight? Well, I think the pace is going to start hotting up here. So Lions just dropping off the front and now kicking back in again. So good to see Joanne Lee going for a short, Millie Skinner going for a short. I vote for a long one personally, or maybe just a real ramp up before the go, just to really upset a few people. That always makes people unhappy. When it pace heads up, even before the go, that is when things start getting a little bit hairy. Good to see Joanne back with us, just sat on the back here in that light blue and jersey with the grey shoulders, and nicely in the gang. So good to see the team working well here. So would anyone ever say long? The answer to that is yes, because basically if you can't sprint and you can't climb, you've got to go for a long one and just hope you can drag strip people out. Suits diesels more than petrol engined riders, but we'll see how they go. The gang are relatively quiet. We're going to see if we can just jump in with our beacon, Emma, who hopefully is having a pretty smooth ride. Let's take a look at the old heart rate. Better not call it too much. She'll be give me a crack around the ear when she comes back out of the pain cave. Emma, young woman down there in the pack, how are you doing?
I think things are okay this evening, thank you, Matthew.
It's looking good at the moment. The gang are just about holding all together. The red beacon's got a bus going and looks to be a pretty smooth bus at the moment. It's a minibus at the moment rather than a coach load, but that's no bad thing because it means that they're getting a nice workout.
Yeah, it is. And there's a nice group at the back, and this group at the front are all moving and working really, really well together.
Well, certainly looked to be really smooth. We're just watching with the camera shots from the helicopter, and it's not yet got to the point where you've got the same faces always at the back. People are moving around the bunch, still showing that they've still got some strength left in there. But we're currently at what, 20k, so we've basically got a lap around the circuit of Greater London Flat and then out of the onto the roller coasters as well.
Yeah, we have. We've got the rest of this lap, and then we run down along the river, down the escalator, and off we go up the climb. So it's a good pace at the moment. I think everyone's nice and warmed up. So we might edge it on a little bit in a short while and see where we get to.
Well, I'm watching and waiting in anticipation. I'm really looking forward to see just how that's going to pan out as our riders keep on kicking onwards.
Yeah, I don't have a plan at the moment. I might have to make one.
Not just hang on in there.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure when we're going to let it go.
No, I just had a message come in. You might well have heard the pings and dings. And great to see that the riders who aren't allowed to ride tonight, because they are not allowed on the Women's Only Wednesdays, sending the messages coming through. And I'm liking the always enjoy watching the Women's Only Chaingang. I'm quoting here, keep it up, great work and coordination. So the message is coming in, and that is from a certain Mr. Craig Herring, who knows the Chaingang inside out. He's a man who knows what he's talking about, because he's been in with us pretty much from the start.
Yeah, he has, doesn't he? And I have to say, it's a well-behaved group on a Wednesday.
Definitely. Just getting a quick message from Russ. Russ, the bear, is watching at the moment. So Russ getting to watch rather than to ride at the moment, and says it's looking very, very smooth and looking good.
Yeah, everyone's looking quite comfortable at the moment.
Yeah, I think nobody's poked the boss at the moment, so if nobody's upsetting the boss, that's probably a sign that they're all just a little bit worried about when it is going to go. So I will let you channel your inner bear or inner wolf if Jimmy's watching, and get back to maybe giving them a little bit of a prod. You never know.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Emma. Good luck. We'll catch up with you at some point, but I promise it won't be on the steepest part of the climb.
Cheers.
So great to catch up with Emma, who's out on the course at the moment, and looks like that group just sitting with her at the minute. Now this is where we head out and away from the river, and things do start to get interesting at this point, because this is where you're going to start to see our riders starting to feel the pressure, because once it starts going uphill, then things get a little bit interesting. You just see me coming away from the river. If we take the map out a little bit here and just taking that fork, this is where things start to get a little bit more interesting. 1% at the moment, but we're basically climbing up, out and away from the river, up towards Hyde Park and towards the Serpentine. Just starting to see the pace just start to take its toll, although it hasn't picked up. What we are finding, the gradient is now kicking in. So this is where the riders who are maybe just hanging on to the back need to just push on that little bit. Just soon, I think it's going to be Wendy and Ali at the moment, just in that danger zone. They need to keep pushing, keep squeezing, because the moment you do lose the group, you're going to be in trouble. That's like no such problems. A little bit further back through this gap. So Wendy Carrington just jumping back in with the gang. It is worth turning yourself inside out, but I think that's Ali Alliance who's going to be heading in towards the red, because you're not going to get on once you've lost 3 seconds. 3 seconds is the gap time to do a little bit of recuperation. Looks like Carrington just tucked back in again as it levels off. Now, if Ali's feeling exceptionally strong, now's the time to sprint on. When it levels off, you can quickly sprint into the back as the front of the group goes into the climb. You've got a chance of sprinting into the back using the pace, but you've got to do so before it goes back uphill again. It's a real tricky manoeuvre to achieve, and as that gap starts to open up, you can see the gap has gone behind Wendy Carrington now. And Wendy, if we take a look at the back here, sat on the back of Claire Hughes. Hughes at the moment just tucked into this group, so looks like Ali Lyons doing a great ride there, hanging on to. We're starting to do this ascent back up, and this is where we regularly see riders being shed on both the Tuesday and the Thursday Chaingangs, as well as on our women's only Wednesdays on the Donny Chaingang here on the Down in Cycling YouTube channel. And this group now starting to lose the odd rider, and this is where our red beacon is poised and waiting. And the red beacon is going to be Chloe Gagan. Gagan of the Aeonian race team, working nicely here with Heather Barber. And the two riders will be seeing Ali Lyons. It's going to take them a little while to catch that time back to Ali, but the two working together always are going to be a fast prospect. Now, back in here, just seeing Carrington and Hughes again yo-yoing around the back of the group as it hits 2% here. We're just starting to see Kaz Tarry, Tiff Fletcher also at the back now. This is either a sign that they're exceedingly confident that they can move up at any time, or it's a sign that they're starting to feel the pressure. So if it was me at the back, it'd be time for a quick OTE gel. Make sure I've got some fuel on board, but you can just start to see the gap opening up, and I think it is going to be Wendy Carrington's going to be our next rider who's likely to see this distance. Now, we're heading towards what is a notorious trigger point to send the group into smithereens. It's bit like having a tripwire out there, and it is the descent into the underpass under Hyde Park Corner. What you'll see, you're going to see the speeds pick up as we drop down. Riders who are not quite on the ball are going to find that pace picking its way up as they go diving down. Then it kicks up, and it kicks up at 4%, so it's a nasty little kicker as you come out from the underpass. It then levels and then kicks again up to the high point on this side of the river, and that is where we often see the beacons. If they're in a sadistic mood, or somebody's upset them, or maybe they just want to get back for their tea super early, then they can quite often pull that pin at that point. Sometimes they'll leave it longer, particularly when we've got a king of the mountains to go at. But we have the KOM, the QOM in this case, on the women's only Wednesday on the Donny Chaingang, and that is Keith Hill. And the question is, are we going to see our beacon pull it, or are we going to see them let it gradually ramp up and see how many more riders start to distance when they just hold this pace up over the rises? always my trick, I should say this, always my trick when we're in a Zwift race is to not let the pace drop as we come in. So as people come on to the climbs, normally they'll put out the watts out, and then we go over the top of the climbs, they'll ease off the pedals as it eases, as the gradient eases. That's the point at which I'll keep pushing, just to start shedding riders off the back, just try and distance people, get the group down to a more manageable size. And it looks at the moment like that is going to be the case. Nobody pushing on silly. Nobody's just seen a few 4.5s as they come up there, and the gap's now starting to open a little bit further back. And now this is where we're going to start to see people really feeling the pace. So Wendy as well as HB, it looks like Hughes just about holding the back of the group. Come on, Claire, push on now. Need to get in with Emma Gilbert just about in that group. The gap is there between these riders. So Claire Hughes has got the power normally to push in. Will she be able to do so this time round? You can just see it's now at 2 seconds. Once you lose that group, she did 3.5 watts per kilo, but the group in front has the strength in depth as they go clear. Now, time to find a group. So what we always say in the Donny Chaingang, it's always easy with people. So Claire has got HB and Carrington not too far behind, then Lyons as well. Just up on to that slope with Gagan and Barber. Now, if Hughes and Co can work together with HB, Carrington and Lyons, this is a group that's separated, I think, at the moment. They're separated by about 40 seconds on the road. They could then work together as a really good group of 5 riders, and that will make a huge difference as they go over. So that little bit of a hill, not splitting all the riders by any stretch of the imagination. The speed picks up as we move on to this descent. Yeah, pace up at 50k, and the go has gone. The go has gone. So now this is where we see who's feeling like they're going to take this out, who wants to rip it to pieces, who wants to see a solo victory. Who has got the pace to hang on and who's been racing their socks off. You can see behind Kaz Tarry and Emma Gilbert. Now we've got to find Hughes behind them very quickly. They've just been distanced a touch here. So you've seen Kaz Tarry and Gilbert are here and just starting to feel the pace. It's got Maz on the back of this group now as the pace picks up. But Coldclough on her own on the front at the moment, just stretching this out. So Thompson at the moment from the Pro Noctis, Heidi Kiarson squad chasing Coldclough on her own, doing the work on her own. Now the group behind, if they leave Coldclough out there to dry, well, they are going to make her do a lot of work, burn up a lot of energy. The thing is, this is Charlotte Coldclough. She's a regular race and ride winner. And can you afford, how much time can you afford to give to as you go over? Ignore the time gaps as we come around the top of the island and drop down onto Northumberland Avenue before taking the left on the embankment. It'll reset itself as we go across the fold in the map, which is the easy description to give you. So 7-8 seconds at the moment for Coldclough to this chasing group, and at the moment Coldclough has gone for a long one. Has this group got the will to close down? They're still together, they're not really losing anybody since we lost Kaz out the back with Emma Gilbert. So Kaz Tarry and Emma Gilbert, they just got distance as they came down that slope, not quite on the heels. Now the pace starting to pick up, and you can just see Maurice here, an experienced rider on Zwift here on that Tron bike, got company in the shape of Poppy. Now up comes Emma, looks like Maz in the mix here as well. Hawkins in here, Steph Rocks in here, Jolene here, Tiff Fletcher in this group. It is a group that has got strength in numbers, and they could close it down. Coldclough, remember, is not going to be able to hold 8 watts per kilo to the finish. That's not even somebody like Lizzie Dowden is going to hold that on this course all the way to the finish with the chasing bunch. It isn't Roubaix this course, and the Zwift game does give the benefit to the pack, to the group, which is why we say, if you've been distanced, find a group of riders, find 1, 2, 3, 4 riders, look around you, look at the numbers and see where everybody is and close those gaps down. Now Coldclough still pushing on here, but you can see behind the watts per kilo are lower, but the gap is coming down, the time gap being brought down here, and Coldclough's attack, they're not going to come to anything, but what it has done is made them work behind. But who is working hardest, Coldclough or the chasing group? So we're on to the roller coasters. Coldclough just being pulled back here. It's going to be Poppy Thompson who's going to be making that cash now. Maurice is looking and hovering really with intent here. You've got Emma, the rider leader in here, the boss in here. You've got Millie Skinner rolling in here. Looks like Maz in here. Hawkins is in here. Fletcher's in here. Rourke in here. Tracy and Joe Lee just in here. Come on, Joanne. Time to push here. This is the little kicker. You've got to get over the top. So when you're feeling the pressure, the time to push is just going over. You can see the way that this roller coaster section of the course is working. The riders go along, the gaps open, the yo-yo, they come up, they go down, and Lee having to kick out 4.5, 5.5 watts per kilo to get into that pack now. Now we're just seeing at the front the Pro Noctis team Coldclough coming on as they come up on to this cloud now. Maz Heffron at the back here needs to kick hard. Come on, Maz, time to kick in there. Get those legs going. This roller coaster just starting to split part riders. You've just seen the yellow beacon go from front to the back as it hit this 3% gradient that the beacon now pushes back through the pack again, trying to keep the pace steady. So riders now starting to get distance, and remember, if you are distance, this is what we want to see. This is brilliant. So we've got Kaz Tarry here and Emma Gilbert, the two riders here working together. They're very evenly matched, these two. It's going to be interesting when they hit the climb, because you've got Kaz, who currently on an aero bike with aero wheels, advantage on the lower slopes, but disadvantage on the higher climbs and on the steeper slopes, because you've got Gilbert on that lighter bike and lighter wheels. A little bit further behind Hughes. Well, it's not going to be long before Wendy Carrington and Hughes come together. HB and Lyons are not separated by all that much behind them. Barber and Gagan just making their way in towards T Square, but this is the leading group on the next of these roller coaster ascents onto the uphill sections here, and it looks to me so Maz just being distanced to hit these roller coasters. Then it's going to be Joe Lee. So Joanne now, can Joanne find Maz back there coming up to her to work together? We've got the bunch only 3-4 seconds in front, so we just get this drone up and running and get it up in the air. You can see back there's the chase. That is Joanne just coming out from underneath the bridge, but this is the leading group at the moment, and yet again we're seeing riders pushing on at the front of the group. No prizes for guessing who's gone on the attack on the steep slopes. It is Charlotte Coldclough once again trying to go clear. Will they have the power behind to bring this rider back? So Charlotte Coldclough really is being aggressive tonight. She's looking to take away Vic. She showed her intentions very early on. There was no poker face, holding your cards back, waiting for that final climb. Charlotte Coldclough has gone early now. Poppy Thompson behind, and the teams who have multiple riders will be talking to each other. A lot of people using Discord to keep it all together. So Thompson in here, remember she's got Millie Skinner, her teammate, both riders in that grey and green of the Downey Cycling Coast Riders jerseys, as they go on to the slopes here now. Rourke goes up onto the front. Tracy in second wheel in that Rafa kit, then coming through, just pushing behind here, just seeing Millie Skinner coming up. Hawkins in the mix as well. Really is great to see so many people. Alex Morris just a little quieter than she was. She was really fighting it out and really showing that she wanted to be up in that fight, but definitely some changes. So Sarah Louise Hawkins at the moment just pushing in around the front, and this is when it gets interesting, because as you come up to a rider, all of a sudden whoever is doing the work on the front gets that aerodynamic drag beat from the riders in front as we go up around the side of London, Tower of London, in towards Tower Bridge now. Poppy Thompson just pushing on the front, just squeezing those pedals at 5 watts per kilo here. So Thompson it is who's got that slight advantage, but you can just see as we come in, Thompson currently heart rate working well. We're in to Tower Bridge now. The gang behind just trying to close it down. It's Coldclough who's just leading them in. KG riding behind from Maurice again. Now I think this rider could spring a surprise here, because Alex Maurice sitting on the heels here is doing exactly the right thing, not expending too much energy, but 3 riders now in this leading group. This is dangerous. This is where it could go, and the gaps are opening up here now. 3 riders in the lead. That was an innocuous section of road, but you're not going to see any work from Skinner. I don't think she's got Thompson up the road here. Are we going to see any of the rest of the riders working together? They need to try and close this down. We're going to go into this descent. Watch out for the elevators down. This is a nasty section coming up it, and it really picks the speed up as you come down this slope. So just in with Hawkins in this group. You're going to drop over the edge of the escalators, and the pace suddenly really picks up on this really steep section of slope. 60 kph on the way down there, in around that right hand turn. This is our chasing group. They've got 3 riders up the road, sitting at 4 seconds clear, 5 seconds at the moment. So this is our new leading group of 3 riders: Charlotte Colclough, Poppy Thompson, and Alex Morris. Morris sitting on the heels of the riders in front. The yellow beacon group at the moment containing the boss. Well, they've got Sarah Louise Hawkins at the moment. So Sarah trying to chase the gap down. She's got Rourke for company, but can they work together here? So it's Hawkins, Rourke, then it's the beacon, Emma Payne, then it's going to be Tracy, it's going to be Tiff Fletcher in there. It looks like Millie Skinner at the moment doing the loyal teammate and sitting on the back of the group, getting an easy ride as they make their way up onto the climb, though. Are they going to find it's all going to come back together again? So here we go, kicking hard here. They're off on to this climb on towards Keith Hill. So first of all, it's a right hand turn coming around this turn here. Just watching this group, they're trailing our leaders who've pulled out a little bit more of a gap here. They're at 6 seconds as they come around this turn, and it looks like the yellow beacon's trying to bridge back across to them. Can the yellow beacon pull them back in? Can get them back in together? So this is where we're going to see now. This is a long climb here. Remember, we're going to finish up at 37k in, so we've still got plenty of climbing to come. At the moment, though, our leaders, Poppy Thompson, Charlotte Colclough, and Alex Marisa here. And at the moment, Colclough has just opened that throttle a little bit wider, and it is going to be Charlotte Colclough showing just why she's a force to be reckoned with on the Chaingang, on the roads in real life, out in the races, because she's just starting to stretch this out. So Charlotte Colclough with the Shard in the distance behind. Then we have 2 chasers. You can just see to the left of your screen. So our 2 chasers out on the course at the moment. They are Thompson at the moment in the Pro Noctis squad. The Pro Noctis rider just sitting in the grey and the green. On her heels here is Morris. Then behind looks like Tiff Fletcher putting a bit of a kick in to stay with this chasing group. Now they're going to take this left-hand turn here and just taking a little bit of a look up the road. So we have 2 groups basically. We have our lead rider solo at the front. That is Charlotte Colclough. Colclough now with a gap to Maurice as they come onto the climb proper. So just going to take a little bit of a check here. Just see Tracy just hanging on to the back of this group at the moment. And this is a nice little leading chase group here, and they are working well, trying to get that gap down at the moment. Our leaders, though, Charlotte Colclough leading this out on to the climb on her own. Behind, well, you can just about make out the 2 chasers. It is Morris along with Thompson. These are the 2 chasers. Morris on the front here. So it is going to be 182 beats per minute, 93 revs. So Alex Morris here, then Thompson over the top. Similar heart rate, 183 beats per minute for Thompson. Behind them then you've got Tracy starting to push on here. Got Skinner on her heels. Then it's going to be our yellow beacon, Sarah Louise Hawkins and Tiff Fletcher. These are the 5 now. Tiff Fletcher and Emma have raced against each other on and off on the cross bike for years, since I think probably the Tiff has started racing, and at the moment they're both having to hang on as tight as they can because the gaps are starting to open, and I think it's going to be Fletcher who's being made to close the gaps down now. Our yellow beacon just easing off the pedals as it starts to break. So it's Colclough, Morris, Thompson, Skinner, Tracy, then it's Tiff Fletcher, followed by Sarah Hawkins. Then looks like Steph Rook, Joe Lee, Maz Heffron. And then it's going to be Kaz Tari just making away with Emma Gilbert. Then I think it's going to be Wendy Carrington, followed by Claire Hughes, and it's going to be Heather, Ali Lyons, and then our chasing duo, our Red Beacon, along with Barbara, just rolling way in, so heading out towards the climb. But our race leader, Charlotte Colclough, looking very smooth at the moment on this little dip on the way through as you come along. This isn't totally uphill all the way, it levels off as you come around these turns, and then it kicks again. And these steps make this climb a little bit more difficult for a lot of riders because it jellies the legs as you come in and through. But Colclough constantly sitting just underneath the 5 watts per kilo as she comes up Keys Hill. The smog in the background just blowing out that sun as you can just see the hill increasing, this slope. As we work our way around, we effectively work from left to right on that skyline as we come up towards the top of the hill. And at the moment, you can just see that Colclough are keeping those revs out the saddle now. 70 revs per minute, just under 300 watts per kilo. Thompson, well, she's still got company, and these two, despite their best efforts, are not pulling Colclough back in front. Then it's going to be Millie Skinner with Emma Payne on the heels, then Tracy and Tiff Fletcher behind. So Tracy chasing from the Rafa squad, then it's going to be Tiff Fletcher, and then it's going to be a gap of about 7 seconds to Hawkins, and then it's going to be Steph Rourke. So Rourke still to get onto that little dip, but you can just see that little step down here, just allowing Hawkins to build up some speed, trying to chase down Fletcher, who's got this group of 4 back together and rolled straight through to the front here. Our race leader now well up the road. If we take a little bit of a zoom in and out on the map, we're just looking on a 3D map. This climb does go on. If you go too hard and below, you are going to be in a lot of problems. Now, just at the top right of your screen, where that map is, you can just see a shadow across the base of the map, and that is our climb. So we've just gone on that stepped section. Comes after a quarter of the climb, and a third of the way up the climb is Charlotte Colclough. But she's got a lot of climb left to go. She's gone early, she's got the gap, she's got to work now behind. These two are very, very evenly matched. They've got 23 seconds on that chasing group of 4 riders, and now are working the way on here. Looks like Emma, the beacon, is already on Yaz and the Plastic Population tunes at the moment. If she's saying the only way is up. Behind, I'm not sure what the tunes the guys are on behind. It's probably working on the Chaingang as they make their way around now. Just watching Lee, just see where our yellow beacon is on the slopes on the way around that climb. And it's about a minute up the road, the yellow beacon, but Joanne Lee has got Maz Heffron behind, about 44 seconds down at the moment. So Maz on a good ride here. He's got to stay clear of Emma Gilbert and Kaz Terry. Emma Gilbert working well here, trying to close that gap down. Then Kaz Terry, I think, going to have Wendy Carrington up her. So definitely, I agree with Ali's sentiments, 110% there. Up always hurts. It's horrible. Don't make life very easy, does it? Now, Claire Hughes just out the side, just pushing the res round. Then it's going to be Heather here, keeping a look at the cadence here. 100 res per minute, super smooth on the way up here, and not surprised the heart rate ticking along 150 plus at the moment, because you just see Heather keeping a really good cadence. Then it's going to be Ali Lyons, a definite contrast at 60 res per minute. Then it's going to be Barbara and Gagan, who are now underneath the Thames and about to make their way out of the tunnels very shortly. Let's go up to our chasing riders at the moment, being led by Emma. Then it's going to be Millie Skinner, then it's going to be Tiff Fletcher, then Tracy from Raffis, just starting to lose touch the gap, but showing us 5 seconds. It doesn't look like 5 seconds, but uphill it is very, very deceptive indeed. Hawkins just behind as well, and these are riders that are all being left in the wake of Charlotte Colclough, who is up on to the climbs and really is making this her own as she makes her way up towards the top. Remember, at the moment she's on 285 meters of ascent, and if we very quickly just pull the Velo Viewer profile up on to the screen, you can see we've done a little step lower down onto those upper slopes at the moment. And you'll see riders that basically wants to get around these turns, then it is a long straight run up to the top of the climb, the bottom right hand side of your map. And if we jump straight back in with Charlotte, you can see on the map in front of her that it is around those bends and she's onto that long straight section on that final long pull. But it is a little bit of an interminable climb at this point. It's a 5-6% roller coaster, but it doesn't twist side to side very much, and it means that if we take a look at the view that Charlotte's got, this is what she sees: tarmac, trees, bushes, nobody in front. Everybody, well, they're behind her and they're not in sight, because Coldclough now on this 10% section continuing to keep that lead. It's 45 seconds to Poppy Thompson, who's just started to open the gap up here on Alex. So Poppy at the moment just in front of Alex here in the black. Alex, so definitely not giving up here. 182 beats per minute for Alex. Look at these two. They are so evenly matched. There's next to nothing to choose between them. It's only a couple of seconds on the road behind. Then you can see that over the yellow beacon, well, it's got Millie Skinner currently sitting at 1 second behind her, next to nothing on the roadside there. Millie's heart rate up at 183. Emma, slightly older rider, has got a slightly lower heart rate, but it's not always to do with age. A lot of it's just about how you can ride and how close to your maximum heartbeat you can ride. Some riders have the insane ability to be able to ride all day long within 4 or 5 beats of their maximum heart rate. Me, I might have a high maximum heart rate and a high power, but it only lasts a few seconds, and then I need to go and grab myself a coffee and a slice of carrot cake. Right, Rourke chasing Lee a little further back down the slopes. Then Maz Heffron got a minute lead on Gilbert. Then it's going to be Hughes and Carrington. Look at this group. We said it was going to come together here. So this is becoming a group of 3, and this is when you need some mutual support on the way up here. So Claire Hughes, Wendy Carrington and Kaz Tarry all together on this slope. They do have Gilbert at 44 seconds and Maz Heffron at 1:43 up the road. Just seeing Hughes go through. Now comes Wendy Carrington. Carrington with Kaz Tarry on a heels. There goes the rider in that petrol blue kit. Then it is going to be HB behind. Then Ali along with Bubba and Gagan. Everybody now up onto the climb. We're taking a run up the road here, so Charlotte Coldclough leading the way up this climb, and not far off reaching the top. The gantry is the king of the mountains. Arches in front. It's about 800 metres away, and the Keith Hill banner on the left hand side just starting to show. That's from when we came across that pink beacon across the side there. The Keith Hill jersey is a pink jersey. We have lots of different colours for the different designations. So things like the Epic King of the Mountains generally are light blue. Laps are generally in orange. We have sprints in orange as well sometimes. That all depends on the world that we're in at the moment. In London here on the Donny Chaingang, and it is Coldclough who has the lead from Thompson, then Morris at 5 seconds, 47 seconds back. Skinner along with Payne, and it's going to be Hawkins and Fletcher together working hard. They could close that gap down. It's not all over by any stretch of the imagination. Tracy's got them in sight as well. Still got the yellow beacon in sight as well in front. And then it's going to be Jolie who can just about make out the beacon. It is a long straight stretch of road. Rourke's going to come around this corner. She may well have that same view. There we go. You just see that yellow pillar of light in front. Then it's going to be Maz, and then Emma Gilmer, and Claire Hughes, and Wendy Carrington. Our race leader looking very smooth. Now can see the gantry in front of her. So Charlotte Coldclough, early speculative attacks didn't come to anything, but she didn't give up. She kept on going. She went hard again as she came in to the start area, back past the start of the Tower of London. Put in the kick and broke clear. This time it stuck. She took 2 riders with her initially, but Charlotte Coldclough made it her own, taking the win here at the top. 11 minute 11-second climb for Charlotte Colclough. Our winner here on the second of the Donny Chaingang. So everybody's a winner on the Chaingang because it's all about having a great workout, and I'm sure Charlotte's done that. You can see her watts per kilo quickly dropping down as she comes off the far side. So Colclough takes number 1. Number 2 should well be Poppy Thompson, the rider from the Pro Noctis Hadikiatsu squad. So the message is coming in saying great breakaway effort. That what a weapon Charlotte is. Definitely absolutely phenomenal. And the riders all are trying to chase her, and it gives everybody a great workout. And that's the thing about the Chaingang, whether it's Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, it's all about giving riders something to aim at, a target to keep going through the winter. Remember, the Tuesdays and Thursdays every week, the women's only Wednesdays every other week, and the top of this climb is indeed the finish. It is the very highest point. You get this nice long flat run-in that would suit a bigger sprinter. If you've managed to haul yourself up to the top as a bigger sprinter, this is where you manage to get your own back if it's been a climber who's been handing it out to you, usually on the way up here. But it is Thompson who's going to come in and through the gantry next, and Poppy from the finish line racing, the rider who rides for the Heidi Chaos and the Pro Noctis squad. As DS by Rick listed the top squad in the country on the National Road Series, comes in and underneath the gantry and starts to look at 12:42. Good time for Poppy there as well. So Poppy quickly into the drop here. The speed will pick up once it gets steeper than 3% and faster than 58 kilometres an hour. She'll go down into the Super Tuck just like that. And we'll think I was watching the speed, so the Super took a great way to pick up pace without having to put the effort in. You've got to keep an eye on your speed. Behind, though, it is going to be Morris. So Morris comes through, takes that third place. What a ride by this rider. So Alex Morris coming through over the top there, takes third place at 12:56. And looking forward to seeing Alex when we start to get those bigger numbers, maybe having a little bit of more support up there. Going to be able to challenge the leaders potentially, I think, and definitely a rider who's got a bright future on the Chaingang now. Millie Skinner, our chaser behind. Millie now starting to come up onto those upper slopes. So the number 1 Poppy Thompson, number 2. Sorry, number 1 Charlotte Colclough, number 2 Poppy Thompson, number 3 Alex Morris, and then it is going to be a 4th place for Millie Skinner. Skinner's going to take that 4th place. She's distanced Emma Yellow Beacon, who now just dropping back a little bit on this climb here. You just see that Yellow Beacon behind, so it's going to be Millie who's going to come through to take 4th place here on the Women's Only Wednesday on the Donny Chaingang. So Millie Skinner on her way into the line. It's going to be Millie who's going to set that clock. So stop next at 4th place at the top of Keith Hill. Don't forget the Chaingang's only possible by the support of our riders. So if you've ridden and enjoyed it, if you've watched and enjoyed it, please don't hesitate to donate. It keeps the show on the road and the virtual wheels turning on Zwift for us as Millie Skinner goes through. So Skinner going through with a 14:23, another quick time up to the top of the climb. Next rider in towards the line is going to be our Yellow Beacon. It is Aeonian race rider who's actually racing yesterday on the WTRL race, the points race. Our Yellow Beacon, it is Downey Cycling Coast rider Emma Payne coming through. A massive thank you to Emma, our Yellow Beacon. Emma's going to be leading the rides all the way through until March. Don't forget you can get hold of those links. Jump on to donnychaingang.com for the links. Don't forget, of course, you can pick them up on the Facebook page, and on that group are lots of ways you can get support. Now, this is going to be interesting. Are we going to see a nice sprint between these two? We're going to see a mean sprint between these two. They've got a gap on Tracy behind, so Tiff Fletcher is in the blue with the red GBR on the back, and now starts to put the sprint in here. So here we go. Look at the sprint coming here from Fletcher. The gap has opened out, and she's going to come into the line. Here she comes. So it is Tiff Fletcher who's going to come across. She is going to come through with Hawkins immediately behind there. So great ride by Sarah Louise Hawkins, chasing Tiff Fletcher on the way up to the top. Next in is going to be Tracy. Come on, Tracy. Last big kick here. We want to sprint over the top. 5 watts per kilo coming up here as Tracy moves here, and you can just see that line is coming. That gantry hit, she comes. So Tracy comes through 16:02, so close to that 16 minute. I bet if we come up here towards the end of the Chaingangs, those times will tumble, because that is the effect of the Chaingang. Next up is going to be Joanne Lee. So Joanne, on that lightweight frame, those lightweight wheels really are kicking some good revs around here. Look at the revs, 86, 87 revs per minute as she comes up to the top. Now we're going to see a final kick in these final few 100 meters to get over the top. Keep that clock down. So in towards the line it goes Joanne Lee, the riders behind. The nearest rider 1 minute 10 down on Joanne, as Joanne goes through with a 15:20, and you can see that she put in a fast time up that climb, coming up from further back in the group and overtaking riders on the way up through there. Next in is going to be Rock. Rock has riders behind, and Rock just taking the sprint jersey actually by the Poppy Thompson, just finishing her ride and rolling through the warm down. Remember, the Donny Chaingang works by being a coached ride. It is a led ride, so we have a warm-up on the way through on that lead in. We then start picking the pace up. As we do, the red beacon starts to form the bus at the back, picking up riders along the way to sweep people up. The riders then get quicker and quicker until that go, go, go. When the go, go, go happens, then it is all about getting to the finish as fast as you can. What time can you put in? How quickly can you get there? And we always finish at a fixed point. And that is because it's the same for all of our riders. It's get affected by processing speed. Now, seeing Steph Rock on her way through the line. Great ride by Steph here. Steph Rock comes through us up at 17:30, 17:24 for Steph. So a good ride by her. Now, next rider up is going to be Maz, one of our new riders onto the Chaingang. We're going to try and catch up though with the yellow beacon, who I am hoping is in one piece. How are you doing, Emma? Are you still alive?
Yeah, down at the bottom of the climb.
You're just rolling down the hillside, was that?
Yeah, just maybe to the bottom.
Excellent, that's the way to go. Just seeing Maz on the way up towards the gantry. You've got about 500 metres or so to go. We've seen some great rides today, haven't we? Charlotte Colclough, though, unstoppable up at the front.
Oh, the way she just went off the front, and she just can hold the power, can't she, all the way up that climb.
Yeah.
So I have to say, the chasing two did a good job behind her.
Yeah, they were getting, they were kept on working, and I think we're going to see more of Alex Morris. We know that Poppy is a talented rider. Alex, though, a little bit of a dark horse in that black skin suit and on that Tron bike, showing that she definitely is a regular rider, and we'll see where she fares. Just watching Maz coming up to the top of the climb here, and we know Maz can climb, living in the gorgeous Peak District, so it's going to be Maz coming in and through the finish next. So good ride by Maz. She goes over and underneath the gantry now, just that downhill to come. 18-minute climb for Maz on the way up there. That's proper Peak District territory, isn't it?
I know, it's a deceptive climb, it's really steep in parts. And I have to say, there's been some epic riding from everybody tonight, so it's really good to see those little, even though there were ones and twos on the road and maybe groups of three, it was really good to see people finding their group after the go, 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 and making an effort up that climb.
Definitely, and just seeing Emma Gilbert, Emma a regular all the way through the Chaingangs of last season, through last winter, coming back again, and great to see Emma back up with us once again, and on a very lightweight bike, which I think she's used to her advantage on the way up here, putting in a good effort, and just pushing to the line. She knows the score. She's going to be trying to kick into the finish here.
I was going to say, look at that power that she's putting out as she's coming to the top of that climb.
I know, 100 revs per minute. You can only dream of those, can't you?
Oh, I've got very, very slow cadence, as you well know, Matt.
Well, I wouldn't dare say such a thing, but definitely quick cadence from Gail, but she goes over the top, still doing 80 revs per minute as she starts to drop down the other side. Behind her, Wendy Carrington, another rider just on the way up here in towards the finish. They come thick and fast, the riders now, don't they, as we come in towards the finish up here on Keith Hill.
There's not a lot of gaps actually between them, and it's foreshortened, isn't it, when you're going up that climb? Those distances are deceptive.
Definitely deceptive as you come up, and it's quite a steppy climb as well. And that dip about a quarter of the way up catches a few people out regularly, so it's a great place to split the group. But the group is holding together well. But this is what Donny Chaingang is all about, isn't it?
It is indeed. It's about everybody staying together for as long as possible, and then when we let it go, everybody getting their own ride from it and what they want from it.
Yep, definitely, and just seeing Wendy go through the line there. Great ride by Wendy in 18.06. So only a few seconds behind Mars in terms of time up there, with an 18.06 behind. Then it's going to be Kaz who's going to get the sprint out of these two between Kaz, Tarry, another of our regular riders going in and through. And this time an aero bike with aero wheels, so would have been giving away a little bit of power to those aero wheels, but Claire Hughes doing the same there. So Kaz coming through with an 18.50. Claire Hughes got a quick time up there, 18.17 for Claire Hughes.
Yeah, that's this, isn't it? There are some good times and some good efforts going on up there. And there's a fair few. I think it was Wendy's first time tonight on the Chaingang, so that's great to see her come over the line.
Yeah, absolutely hurtling down. It's 74 kph at the moment on her way down towards the finish. Just enjoying the warm down, we hope, on the way down that far slope as she heads down. Talking of faster revving riders, though, Heather here is keeping it super smooth. And again, look at the revs here, 98, 99, 100 revs a minute, and has been really consistent with that all the way round the ride.
Okay, you're rubbing it in now, aren't you, Matt?
Maybe just a little.
It's really interesting, though, isn't it? How people have different riding styles, even on Zwift.
Yeah.
And some are using the power based off cadence, and some people are a bit more, how should we say, grunty.
Well, you can say that. I'm definitely not going to. I think it is really interesting, and I think it's really interesting how people respond when the attacks go in. Obviously, if you've got a nice revvy, fluid style, it's easier to respond to the attacks, but it's not necessarily the most efficient, and you've got to find what works for you. And it is very different riding on Zwift than it is in real life. In some ways, it's so similar, and yet in other ways, it is very different. And I think that that can definitely catch riders out. But that's one of the things about Donny Chaingang, because we're here all the way through the winter. You've got that time to adjust to get used to it.
And it's a great place to practice as well, because you know how the event is going to start. You know we're going to start really steady. You know we're going to gradually wind up. And it's a great opportunity to practice your drafting. It's not actually that easy to draft in a group, and there's a real technique and skill to it. And finishing an event with a low watts per kilo actually means you've got your drafting right. So
yeah.
It's often not the person who's put the most effort in who's had the most efficient race.
Definitely, and very efficient, though, I think, from Heather going over the top. Heather B there with an 18.36 quick time from Heather as she goes over the top. And another of our new riders behind. So Ali Lyons on the climb, got Chloe Gagan, our red beacon, and Heather Barber behind her as well. So a real mix of riders on the ride today, and they're on the way up this climb at the moment. We're going to let you do a little bit of a warm down, and then no doubt get a little bit of recovery in once we've had a little bit of a chat. Now, we have 2 weeks' time, we have our next ride on the women's only Wednesday, and we are expecting people coming in to the Chaingang as they finish their race season, aren't we?
We are. We've had a number of students who said that just a little bit too early for them, not starting at the end of September and into October. The road race season has obviously been extended with with the women's tour this week and a big week next week at Lincoln. And then obviously a lot of riders are going to want to take a short break before they start riding over the winter. So we've got a lot of riders who have put it into their training plans in November and December already. I had a chat with a couple of them this week and said, it's definitely in for November. So we're expecting to see a fair few riders coming back off the road season and back onto Zwift and the Chaingang for the winter.
And we've got a couple of interesting routes. So the next route coming out is going to be, we'll not say the actual route just yet, but it's going to be in France. So we've got a French route on the next ride. That's in 2 weeks' time on the 20th. And then on the 3rd of November, we're heading across for the first women's only Wednesday Donny Chaingang in the Mercury Islands.
Yeah, so in picking the route, try to think about something for everybody, because not everybody likes a flat route, not everybody likes a hilly route, and everybody has different strengths. And I think that's what makes it interesting. So in terms of picking the routes for the Chaingang, really, really thinking about A, what will make a good Chaingang, but B, what allows different riders to show their strengths on different weeks.
Yeah, definitely, and that's the thing. The Chaingang is designed for everybody, absolutely everybody, and that is why we absolutely love it when we have so many different riders of different abilities, different experience levels, and different targets as well, because lots of different people are jumping on the Chaingang for different reasons.
Yeah, and as you'll know, I often quite like jumping on the Thursday Chaingang to ride with the Red Beacon for an hour and a half. It's a really great social ride sometimes.
I think that's interesting, isn't it? I mean, the Thursday ride, so traditionally, and it isn't always the case, I'll say that now, but traditionally the Tuesday has been the hilly ride and the slightly flatter ride. Often pancake flat ride has been on the Thursday, but it does mean that on Thursdays it does make a good recovery. Or if you are racing at the weekend, so you've got, say, the National Trophy at Westmoreland like we have this weekend, then Thursday makes a good way to just keep those legs sharp without having to blow yourself to pieces.
Yeah, and I think Thursday's interesting because quite often the Red Beacon group on a Thursday's Chaingang can have 6, 8, 9 riders in it. It's on the start near enough, because people have actually deliberately chosen to use it for that. I mean, I do know a couple of riders who last winter were also using it as an hour's warm-up before they started racing on a Thursday night on Zwift. So people do use it. People use it for different reasons.
Yep, they certainly do. They certainly do, and of course, all counting towards your Zwift points to get better equipment, to get the easier kit. And good to see that Ali now on her way into the finish corner. Ali all the way to that line. It's not far away. So Ali lies just a quick change of gears there, 80 revs per minute, just pushing on here, 3.6 watts per kilo as she comes into the line. So great ride by Ali to come through the line there. Pushes over the top, and now it's that warm down the hill, which I'm sure all of our riders have definitely been appreciating.
It's a nice way to finish, isn't it? It makes all that effort getting to the top worthwhile.
Yeah. Well, always a sucker for a big downhill, never mind a big uphill. Definitely not a fan of the uphill bit. So, oh, look at that. I got a nice aero power up as well as Ali on the way down there. So Ali starting to rocket that speed up as she heads down this steep section of the climb, heading down in between the walls. And we do use this climb the other way and come up between the brick walls as we come back up the other side, up Leith Hill. But it isn't. It's even longer and even draggier, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's not as steep. We've done the Leith Hill after party, I think we did last season on the Women's Wednesday. And it's not quite, whilst it's as long, or if not slightly longer, it doesn't take as long time-wise to get up.
Yep, that is true. So we're going to let Ali look after us on that descent. We got our red beacon here now. Chloe Gagan, who was racing yesterday, is our red beacon here today, and still keeping those revs nice and smooth, keeping that heart rate ticking along, keeping the power nice and smooth. And these two have. This is where friendships are formed on the Chaingang, isn't it?
It is, and I have to say thank you to our red beacons who volunteer each week to take on the role, and it's really great to see everyone really happy to do so. But you're quite right, it's amazing what chat goes on the party bus at the back. And like you say, how then you meet people in real life who you've met on Zwift.
Yeah, definitely, and we're seeing more and more meetups, aren't we, as well on Zwift and in the real life. So we're seeing people who maybe have only ridden together in the virtual world of Zwift, all of a sudden meeting up, whether that's at Sherwood Pines or in the Lake District, at Langdegla, out on the Women's Tour. Andy Hall's meeting loads of people on the Women's Tour of Britain, who he's only previously maybe met on Zwift, which is great to see. Great to see everybody working, meeting up and seeing people maybe out there where they would normally get to see people.
Yeah, and as you and I know, having dropped into Nonna's restaurant on a couple of occasions, it's not just meeting people in the cycling world. There's a fair few DCG riders dropping into Nonna's in Sheffield, and people are really happy as well.
Yep, definitely. So we are going to just keep our eye on Chloe and Heather as they make their way up through the foliage here, the tree cover, stopping our helicopter shots from being able to shoot down and through as they make their way up this climb at the moment. Just keeping it nice and smooth on the way in, and we do always say we make sure we cover everybody coming out and coming back in again, and because it is for everybody. That's the whole point of the Donny Chaingang. If you want to come and join a ride, don't forget, do need to click on and register. We keep a register of all the riders that ride, and it's quite simple because we need to make sure we know who's on the ride and just who was out doing what. We also, of course, use the numbers, although we would never disclose anybody's information to anyone. It is used just operationally within the Donny Chaingang for us to basically make sure that we can cope with the numbers that we have. We make sure that we don't get any flyers, anybody who's going to be ripping up the Chaingang. So you do need to register beforehand, and that Zwift link is sent out by email. It is a private event, and because of that, we then get that control to send you that link. When you get the link, then just follow the instructions on the email to join the actual ride itself. It's really easy once you've done it once or twice. You can go for the even easier option, which is to get the ride link sent out as soon as they come to us, rather than just having to register for every single ride. If you join up to the end of the season on the WOWDCG ride links, then you get just links sent straight out to you as soon as they arrive with us, and we basically are just waiting for them to come in from Zwift once we send in the details of each ride and where we're going to head. We can't go too far in front. That's quite simply because we adapt the ride based on how people are riding. So you might find that 2 or 3 weeks time, if we've got a monstrous hilly ride planned and we need to do a flatter ride because people need more skills on the flat, then we maybe be heading there. But what you'll find is that all those links come out straight out to you if you get those ride links, if you subscribe to the end. It's just our way of saying thank you for helping keep the show on the road, because if you donate to the Donny Chaingang, you're basically helping us keep the show that started off in that very first lockdown ticking along, making sure that we can keep on providing the coverage, make sure that we keep on getting the ride leaders in there, that we can make sure all the tech is keeping on working, because we do burn through a fairly prodigious rate, it has to be said. All of the internet lines jumping in and out as well. And of course, it does mean that we can keep the community together. Remember, it's great. It's now 6 plus. Yeah, I must be heading for 18 months, in fact, now of Donny Chaingangs, and thank you very much, everybody who has supported us and meant that we have, in fact, been nominated to be Cycling Weekly's Club of the Year. We're into the last 4, and much as Russ and I might have put it all together, it is a product of absolutely everything. You couldn't take anything out of the mix and it'd still be the same, whether that's our riders who ride, whether that's our Chaingang supporters, our Red Beacon volunteers, our leaders in Emma, in Jimmy and in Russ, and of course with the broadcast in there as well. It is a unique mix, and it is made that by everybody, absolutely everybody, from the Facebook pages who support people, who sort out tech, who look after riders who are in need of kit, who have looked after youngsters, from our very oldest riders who are in their 70s right the way through to our future superstars, the youngsters who are already making a splash on social media. So big thank you for helping us be what we are today, and looking forward to a really good winter, and I'm sure Emma is doing the same, because Emma of course has got racing plans as well as being on the Chaingang for the Aeonian team, and the Aeonian team, I think they had a strong outing, didn't they, yesterday, Emma?
Are you literally reading my messages? Because I've just been told that we came third yesterday in the team event.
I
So,
wish
that
I
was
had
really
that power of the tech. At the moment, we're struggling to hold the broadcast together with the new communication system. So to be able to spy on messages, that would be a neat trick. Sadly, not got that power. So come on then. What position did the Ionian team get?
Third.
Third. Well done.
So,
Congratulations.
really good. That was really good. See, I'm already on the message with the riders who from the event that was just finished. So it's great that the social and the chat from afterwards is already happening.
Excellent, and that is what we love about the Chaingang. And it looks like our riders on the gang are just starting to make their way up towards the top of the hill here, as we see Heather Barber along with Chloe Gagan start to make their way up towards the top of the slope. So our duo now onto that flatter section, as our red beacon, the red party bus at the back, makes its way up towards. It's not always a party. I think half the time when we call it a party bus, it sounds like it's a whole load of fun at the back. It isn't always. I find it a killer when they're going up that club. I don't care how fast you're going. So we're going to let Emma dive off and get some recovery done and some OT recovery drinks sorted out. Thanks very much, Emma. Look forward to seeing you on the next Chain Gang.
Yeah, thanks ever so much, Matt. See you in 2 weeks.
So great to catch up with Emma. Let's jump back into the ride. In with these two riders doing a great job here. On the front here, it is Heather Barber on the way up to the top of the climb. That gantry is inside the point at which it all goes quite literally downhill. You can freewheel your way down or warm down properly, which is always our suggestion at the end of the ride. And great to see Chloe Gagan, the Ionian teammate of our Yellow Beacon, taking on Red Beacon duties. Red Beacon next time out is going to be Alison Kinlock, and it is going to be Emma leading again. So on the way through they go, and through the line and over the top of the hill goes Heather Barber. Great riding, Heather. I hope to see you back in 2 weeks' time. And thank you very much to this rider, to Chloe Gagan, going in and through. Congratulations, up over the top they go. So just the descent to finish off this fast run down the slope here. So as our duo make their way down the slopes, thank you very much for watching. Our riders on there, warmed down, the Chain Gang done and dusted. The women's only on Wednesdays, done and dusted. Don't forget you can tune in tomorrow for the Donny Chain Gang, same time, same place, 6 o'clock on the Donny Cycling YouTube channel. From me, Matt Payne from our Beacon, Emma from Russ, who has been watching and keeping his bear-like eye on proceedings. Enjoy, have a safe day, and we'll see you tomorrow for another Donny Chain Gang.